Hi, I'm Margaret and welcome to Garden School. Today I just wanted to talk a little bit about what plants need. Well, the plants do have some specific requirements, and among them are light, air, water, a place or a space with some structure if it's needed, and soil. And now it's the soil where they mainly get their nutrients. So when we are talking about nutrients for plants, there are 6 macronutrients, and these are the 6 macronutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. The top 3 are what you might see listed on a fertilizer, and that's really what I wanted to talk about. What's on a package of fertilizer? All of these items are elements. They're on the periodic chart as elements, and they are naturally occurring. But nitrogen is not a mineral. All of these others are minerals, and they're found in the soil. So where does the nitrogen come from? It comes from organic matter. So matter that was once living, like falling leaves or pine needles, or other things that drop to the ground and decompose. That's where the nitrogen comes from. And most soils have enough, many soils have enough nutrients for the native plants to grow. But in the Pacific Northwest, where we have acid soil, and so for your gardening and your vegetables and your landscape needs, you may need to add some supplements. That's where the fertilizer comes in. Well, there's a lot of different types of fertilizers and a lot of different forms. You can buy granular forms of fertilizer or liquid, things that you would spray on. But all the fertilizers have something in common, and that is this number system on the front. This represents the percentage of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium that's available in this package, in this formulation. So you can see that we have some that are very different. A starter fertilizer with a ratio of 3, 6, and 2. So the phosphorus is a lot higher in that one, but all the numbers are relatively low. Compared to this one, this is an all-purpose lawn and garden fertilizer, 16, 16, 16. Now, when it comes to something like this, you would really be surprised at how high the nitrogen is. I think it was like 24%. And then phosphorus 16 and potassium 8 or something like that. Here's another one, and it is 10, 5, 4. So this is also higher in the nitrogen part. Well, what's the difference now between an organic fertilizer, which we hear a lot about, and a synthetically produced fertilizer? Actually, the elements that I showed you are the same when it comes to what's available to the plant. These are all elements, and an organic nitrogen is like a synthetically formed nitrogen. It's the element that's the same. But the way they're available to the plant, that's where the difference comes in. The synthetically formulated fertilizers are more available to the plant to use. Whereas the organic fertilizers need to be broken down a little bit by the microorganisms in the soil in order for them to be available to the plant. So an organic fertilizer, while it's all from, it's not synthetically made, you need to think about it's going to take a little bit longer for those nutrients to become available to the plant. Whereas a synthetically produced one is going to be quicker. You're going to see difference quicker. So let's see, unless you're I solemnly swear I'm an organic gardener from here ever forward, that's, bless your heart. That's great. I like to say I'm an organic gardener, but there's some specific uses where I want to use a synthetic fertilizer. So in a container, let's say, where you have a hanging pot of flowers or a container that's growing tomatoes or something like that, you might see you know, somewhere in the season that your production and your appearance of your plant is lacking a little bit, that's when you might want to use a synthetic fertilizer on it to just give it a quick boost so that you're going to see a result before the season is over. You want to see those flowers coming in the season. So that's something to think about. If you want to be an organic gardener and you really want to stay with that focus, that's great. So something to think about though is you're going to want to apply your fertilizer or your nutrients so that they will be available when the plant needs it. So like in the fall, that's when you're going to spread your compost out or your aged manure or something, so it can continue to age all through the winter and then be available when your plants need it in this growing time. So think about that as you're wondering, what are those numbers on the bags of fertilizer? Now, I'm not endorsing any product right here. This is just what I happen to gather up. So think about that, and if you have some specific desires for what you want a fertilizer to do, like maybe bloom production or, you know, specifically for tomatoes, you can talk with your nurseryman or do your own research and find out about that. But that's just a little bit more to know about fertilizers and the difference between organic fertilizer and synthetically produced fertilizer. Well, there's always more to learn in the garden. Bye-bye.